I said is your show was one of the few where when somebody's screaming, turn off your mic, turn off your video, it works because it's still in character, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's still you saying it.
My home phone went off yesterday at the show for Yale during the land acknowledgement. I was like, shit. And because I usually unplug it, and I forgot to unplug it, and I just let it ring, and I went, all right, I'm gonna unplug my home phone. But yeah, these are the weird things that we forget. Like, I've turned off my cell phone, but I'm one of those dodos who still has a landline so that I can find my cell phone when it's lost in my house.
Yeah.
Oh God.
If we didn't have two cell phones with Find My Phone on them, we'd probably do the same thing.
I know.
We're going to start with what we call our Take 5, which are 5 very open-ended questions.
Okay.
Just to kind of get things started. And like, talk about everything, talk as much as you want. We love to listen. We actually feel like we're using this as an excuse to make friends. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, yes, this is for our blog and for, you know, our YouTube, but also we want to make friends. So, so our first question is, what about theater turns you on? What's your favorite things? What personally?
I love the patience that audiences have in theater. I mean, maybe to a fault, because some things I'm just like, y'all should just be walking out of this right now. But like, I think I don't play comedy clubs. I do funny shows in theater spaces because I just feel like that audience has an appreciation for it more. They will sit and let me storytell and like set it up a little bit longer. I feel like I've met friends that I wouldn't have made, and I understand things about communities that I wouldn't have been, you know, only been able to kind of connect with through poor representations of them in the media. So I'm talking about the trans community and documented community. I've only been able to connect through them because of my work in theater, because of watching work they've made and coming to support and have conversations with them after. So it's a combination between the community and the patients. But it's also like, I really appreciate like these pieces, even if I don't get them, that just someone like spent the last 3 years of their life making this thing that's disappearing in the moment that you're watching it. And I just think that's so special. And we're really kind of witnessing right now as that learning on Zoom interactions are not the same as being able to see each other. But I think Zoom theater is a little bit of an interesting hybrid. We could talk about that.
Question 2 is kind of the reverse of that. What turns you off? What's something that like just doesn't reach you?
A lot. What turns me off about theater? I think just sometimes there's just work that I can't connect to, and I'm like, why? Why did you make that? But I think the whole, at least in Los Angeles where I live, the whole hustle of trying to get people in to theater in LA is its own little show. I spend more time doing the marketing. I think we all do as artists who have to do this professionally, spend more time working on the business of this and getting people to actually watch it than actually making it. And then I think it's heartbreaking when people don't show up and don't get it, or it doesn't go over the right way. So that's hard. But you know, that's sort of the risk of theater, is you're sort of presenting it live in the moment. You can't stop, you can't go back and edit, you can't, you know, it lives with that audience right there. Like if someone's having a bad day or good day, that might shift the reaction. And yeah, so I guess, yeah, it's a fickle lover, theater. And then sometimes it can be too expensive. And I wish it was something that was just a little bit more accessible for all folks, but obviously the cost is being absorbed by artists who aren't getting paid enough.
We're big like pay people, you know.
Yeah,
like I mean everyone should be, but we kind of have, especially right now, been like pay for people, not for locations. Like that's our big spiel right now. But yeah, that's always hard when you're like, you're trying to create something and then it's too expensive for the audience to come, or worse yet, you do get it and like you just can't find them. You don't know where your audience is, and that's always
I think
Always.
the most my shows have ever been, and this was another company presenting me, was about 35. And I remember going, am I worth that much? Oh my God. Because for the most part, I'm presented usually in ways where either a school presents me, so they just pay me a flat fee, or theater gets a grant and they pay me a flat fee. But I very rarely rely on ticket sales. And I have a lot of like in fact, a lot of the projects I do with communities are free, and we feed the audience. Like it's just like this, it's just like the giveaway zone at Kristina Wong's house. But like, yeah, and even this show, like we found ways to just get people to watch for free. So no excuses.
Our third question is a success you had, and what did it teach you?
In this process of touring it online?
Or
any place, whatever rings the truest, because sometimes people are like, oh, I had a success right now, and let me tell you about that, or it was years ago.
School successes.
I mean, this so I had a few national dates. I had a little bit of a tour that I was live setting up in February after the show premiered. The thing is, I was working so furiously up to the premiere, I didn't book the rest of the fall. And that's actually in theater, live theater, in the before times, you usually need a 6 to 1 year window to at least get into this kind of theaters that would pay you to come in, because they need to apply for grants, they need to put it on their season calendar. And so very frantically, the weeks after February, I was like writing every theater that I had a connection with, and I said, I'm going to make a bold ask and ask you to present me in time for the election, which is crazy. I normally pussyfoot around and I'm really shy with theaters, but I was like, this has to play before the election. You need this. And then there was no tour possible because everything was postponed. And I was like, oh shit, I just spent 4 years running for office, thinking about this show, making this show for a live audience, and it's over. So I feel the fact that the dream did come true. I never imagined we'd be in this situation. Like, I did get to tour it a bunch before the election. In fact, I feel like, my tour schedule just ended yesterday, and it is grueling before this election. Like, I'm on every panel right now. I'm on every panel about politics, the election, arts, artists, first responders, like you name it. I am on the panel. And I'm like, this is what it really feels like when you're running for office. Like, you are literally making every appearance. And I literally look at my calendar. Okay, who am I supposed to talk to now? Okay. And like, sometimes I am just floating along in the panel going, oh yeah, that's what this was, but I don't say it out loud. I just go, and I like click in the gear. But I completely go, wow, this is what these candidates must feel like, as they're just sort of pushed from place to place. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ohio. Thank you. So I feel very like it was successful in that sense. And
okay, question number, we did 4. Okay, we're on 4.
Failure.
Yes, a failure in your career, and what did it teach you? And any part of your career, it doesn't just have to be theater.
So many failures. So many. I talk about the reality TV pilot I had, which quote unquote failed in that it didn't get picked up. But for those who didn't watch my show yet, but for some reason watching this video, yeah, I had a reality TV pilot which was pitched when Obama was president, and we shot when Trump took office. The whole context of the world and my character shifted, because essentially I was sort of like a Nathan For You, Michael Moore character that had like all these ambitious but kind of twisted ideas around how to approach activism to get people off their couches for social justice. And it didn't go. And and there's so many moments when you have something like that that's so close to going. Like, everything could be different in a year. I could be a household name. I could and then nothing. And it was devastating. But I think the whole experience, I think what I've learned with like all failures, I'm like, there's a story in there, and there's at least a small audience on a stage that will watch that, right? As opposed to let this story just be, okay, it didn't happen, that's it. Mm-hmm. Because from that, I was just like, what do I do? I'm a failed reality TV star. I guess I'll run for public office. Because basically at that point, I was like, I'm like, this fucking administration is pulling off performance art better than I am. And they are pulling spectacle off, and they're taking my goddamn job as someone who used to do crazy things, for kind of emotional effect or whatever. And I was like, shit, if they're going to take my job, I'm going to take theirs. So, that's a failure that led to the show. And it was hard to talk about because, there was a moment I was embarrassed, felt like I let folks down. I felt like, oh, I just became another, sad Hollywood story. But I think I feel very proud of how I tell that story at the top of the show. I think it kind of frames a lot of my interests around reality TV and stuff really well. And I think it helped me make peace with that, to be able to just share that story.
Yeah, no, we love that story so much. It was it definitely like sets the tone for everything else that's about to happen when we watch your show. So it was
yeah.
And it reminded me of just so much of like what happened the minute Trump took office, and just the whole general mood of like there's one half of the year and then the next like last part of that year, and just went crazy. Because I remember like HowlRound, I was writing for HowlRound a lot, writing just little bit stuff about like making theater online. I have invisible disabilities, so I'm big on like advocating for people with visible disabilities. And all of a sudden, I had never been turned down for stuff before. I had never had articles turned down before, but all of a sudden, everything shifted to people panicking about Trump. The entire publication was about people panicking about
like
Trump.
how Trump changed theater, theater.
It got to the point where I was like, okay, do we all want to be reading our publication that every piece, but everyone did in November and December of 2016. Everyone wanted to be panicking, and I was just like, do we all want to be reading this? And so, yeah, I felt you right there just the whole time.
It shifted. It shifted everything.
I think for all of us, like all of us who wanted to do apolitical work, and that doesn't exist, by the way.
It doesn't.
I for many years was like, I just want to do apolitical work, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't exist. Even if you're doing a play about white people, it's about white people, right? It's still about race. And by not addressing race stuff, it's its own statement, and in that it is blatantly ignoring, whatever. So I think I agree that, like, in that moment, I was just like, what do I make work on? And does it make sense to do a show that's like, look how crazy this world is? Because we see it already. So what's left? What's left to do with the space, right? That we have the privilege to sit in for an hour or 2 hours.
Our last question of the Take 5 is 40 years from now, there's a theater textbook. Kids have to study this textbook backwards and forwards to get a theater degree. There's a rule with your name on it, the Kristina Wong rule. What is that rule?
Always show up where you're not invited.
Oh, I love that.
Oh.
Yeah, I actually teach when I give a lecture of my work, it's like the rules of Wong, and it's basically you cannot wait for permission. You can beg for forgiveness, but like a lot of my early work, one was a fake mail order bride website, so people were looking for pornography. They found my site. I crashed events, and like it's funny. I used to crash the Visual Communications Film Festival in LA. Like I would show up as a fake Miss Chinatown on the red carpet. I would move past the monitor because my name's not on the list, and I would give interviews as this. I am Fanny Wong. I give interviews as a character, and now they invite me to do Q&As, and I get little honorariums for it. And I'm like, yes, you see how far I've come. You actually invite me in the spaces, but you have to just like. I mean, people get mad at you and stuff, and there's that fine line between obnoxious and art and whatever. But at this point, like, no one asked me to decide to start sewing masks and stuff. I mean, they've asked me for masks down the road, but like, you just have to take initiative and just do it. And what I've learned from sitting in these long neighborhood council meetings is like, government is so slow. So if you're going to wait for government to save you, you're going to die waiting. So.
Oh God, we've been thinking
step
about
up.
that. Yeah.
Step up, sadly.
We've been thinking about that too, just because we're both disabled. We're both BIPOC, all the different gender queer, LGBTQ. This whole pandemic has also been the thing with George Floyd happening too, where theater goes down, and then now everyone starts wondering whether or not they want to go back to the theater when they come, because of all the inequities that were around with the creators. We hold Black Theater roundtables. where we
actually I'm
cool.
about BIPOC to open it up to more people, because like it was so cool. It's people from different walks of life coming in and just talking about how we feel about theater, how we feel about this moment. And one of the things that came up was like older people were like, we've seen this is the same dance, it's been around forever. Yet younger people were like, no, we're angry, we're very angry, and we're sick of this stuff happening. And so it was interesting to have them talk to each other and realize that like what everybody was feeling. And I said I created it not to find answers, but maybe to find the right question.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know what we're looking for right now, but it's those conversations around theater and theater inequity and gatekeepers and all that stuff has come up a lot.
Definitely. And we are very much, I always say, no one asked you to do theater. I have never met a single person where they're well, maybe there's that rare acting family where the mom and dad did theater over there, but everyone else, grandparents are very disappointed. There was a future career in medicine that was not pursued or something.
Send us everything, stay in touch. We're already friends on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
Tell us everything.
I will.
And when you're friends with us, you're stuck with us for life. So
yay! Yay! I need friends. Okay, you two are adorable. I hope that doesn't sound minimizing, but I just love that, like, a couple that like watches online theater. It's really good. I love it.
We love being
anyway. Yeah. All right, folks. I'm gonna go make some gnocchi in my fridge and
go for it.
And prepare for the next panel. Love talking to you both.
Same. We will
bye-bye.
Take care. Take care of yourself.
Yes, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you like what we just did, there's going to be plenty more coming up. Please like, comment, subscribe. Our Venmo is in the description. Please support us if you can. Our cats need the money.